He is a six-time USA memory champion and the author of the brand new book, Everyday Genius: Hacks to Boost Your Memory, Focus, Problem Solving, and More. Nelson Dellis, good morning and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jim.
Much like you, as I read in the book, your grandmother's experience with Alzheimer's was my first encounter with it as well with my grandparent. And it sparked you on this incredible journey. Talk about that.
Yeah, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that. It's such a devastating disease, obviously for the person struggling with it, but even the immediate family around that person, just because memory is what kind of weaves us all together emotionally and historically. And, when I watched my grandmother start to forget who I was and just lose the essence of who she used to be, it was heartbreaking. And honestly terrifying because I didn't want the same thing to happen to me and see my kids experience that as I got in my my elder years. So led me down this rabbit hole of learning about memory, and that led me to memory competitions and memory techniques. And I was just fascinated that this was a whole culture or subculture that could be learned and trained. And I started training my memory obsessively. I was hooked on this ability that I had no idea was latent living within my brain all this time. And anybody can have that, a better memory if they learn the techniques and train it.
Yeah, much like you, my grandmother did not know who I was. She thought at times I was her husband or her son. And I thought that was interesting. She remembered both of those. But early on, I told her, no, I'm your grandson. And Nelson, she had no recollection of having a grandchild.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. It's incredible that the mind can get to a place like that, right? That was what was so terrifying to me.
One of the things that I've noticed as I've gotten older is I have difficulty remembering a person's name. And I
Yeah.
also have difficulty remembering song lyrics. In fact, I was just in an airport the other day coming back from Florida, and I'm looking at this guy, Nelson, and I said, I know you from somewhere. I mean, the face is right there. And I even started up a small chit chat type of conversation, and he's not connecting. I'm thinking, all right, maybe I'm wrong. But
Yeah.
there, I just couldn't figure out where I knew this guy from.
And did you end up finding out that you knew him and he
Nope.
remembered you or no?
Nope, because
Okay.
I was afraid to start that conversation. Where do I know you
Yeah.
from?
Yeah, and it's a very embarrassing feeling, right? When you know someone and you can't dig up their name and you should know their name. Everybody struggles with that, right? But you don't have to. Name remembering is such an amazing tool to have under your belt because people love to hear their name. It's such a special thing. And when you can remember just that tiny detail about somebody, you instantly are in in their good graces and they think highly of you because, oh wow, this person remembered me. How special is that? But anyways, the technique is really tapping into what our brains prefer in terms of information as a diet. How do you give your brain the right form, the media format, so that it can remember it? And that's the problem. Most information these days is so abstract. There's so much of it. It's hard to parse it all out and to keep things straight or keep your brain even interested. Because it's being bombarded all the time. So, with a name, the first thing you want to do is turn it into something that just electrifies the brain, that really excites it and makes it be like, whoa, that's insane. That's weird. That's bizarre. That's crazy. That's sickening, whatever. We remember these emotional responses. So, if you can come up with an image for the name, usually, with names, you can think of someone that maybe has the name that you know, a celebrity, a friend, a character from a book or a movie. If you don't know anybody, you can always break down the name into smaller components and come up with images for those syllables. I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say in the book you talk about, someone with a big nose and it reminds you of a bill, a dollar bill flapping in the breeze and oh, his name is Bill.
Exactly, right. If you met a bill, the picture you can think of is like, oh yeah, dollar bill. I can picture a dollar bill. That's easier. It's a thing in my mind that I can create this image and all these details of. And then you choose an anchor, so something that attaches that picture to the person, so you know that name goes with the person. And that's where you maybe choose a distinguishing feature on the person's face, and then you attach or imagine the image for the name interacting with that feature. That way, when you see them, like you said, you'd be like, oh, there's That guy, that big nose. Oh, the Bill on it. Bill. Hey, Bill. Obviously, you keep that inner dialogue inside you, but that's kind of what would be going on in my mind.
I mentioned that I have difficulty remembering song lyrics, and some of these songs, I'm in a band, Nelson, and some of these songs I've been
Okay.
doing for 30 years, if not longer. And I've gotten to the point where I'm using an iPad, and I'm saying to myself, you know what? If Bruce Springsteen can use a teleprompter, well, for crying out loud, Jim Monaghan can use an iPad. And I know it's a crutch, but these lyrics, they just confound me. Plus, I have to remember the chords that go with them.
Oh yeah. So you're singing and playing
Yeah.
guitar or whatever instrument? Yeah,
And
that's
again, it's
tough.
something I've been doing for a long time. It's not like I just started this yesterday.
Yeah. No, there's a few techniques to memorize text, which is essentially what lyrics are. Obviously, there's some melody to it, so I feel like that helps in itself. But if you're playing along it, for me, I play guitar. I could never figure out how to sing, and I can't sing, first of all, but how to sing at the same time as playing guitar. That is difficult for me, but I feel like it's something I just never spent a lot of time doing. But either way, remembering lyrics. One of the fun techniques that almost feel like magic sometimes is if you have a portion of a song or a chunk of text that you want to remember really quickly, um, there's this process. Actors use this all the time, where you first read the segment right a few times, just try to understand it and see it in your mind and really get a good grasp on it. And then what you do is on a piece of paper with pen, old school traditional analog way, is just write out the first letter of each word in that passage. Okay. And then what you do once you do that, after that, is you read the thing you wrote, just the first letters, and see if you can remember all the words that they represent. And usually you're pretty good. I'd say 95 to 100% you'll get all of it. And if you have to cheat back to the original text, that's fine. But do that a couple times with just the first letter. And after you do that a few times, take away everything and try it from memory. And you'll be surprised that the information is mostly 100% of the time there. Um, it's a fascinating thing. It sounds kind of like magic, but I encourage everybody to try it with a sentence or two of a quote or a lyrical passage, and you'll see how effective it is.
You are the founder and CEO of Climb for Memory. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Climb for Memory is a nonprofit I started right around the time I started getting into memory techniques, and it was a way to raise awareness for Alzheimer's through mountain climbs that I do around the world. I'm a hobbyist, amateur climber, big passion of mine in my life, and over the years I've climbed some big peaks to, shout from the top of the world that brain health and working on your memory and Alzheimer's prevention is a thing we need to be more mindful of. We don't really think about keeping our minds healthy. We think about, our body and what we feed it and how we exercise it, but never the mind. And that was the whole goal of that charity, was really to change that perception of exercising the mind and caring for the mind.
You can check everything out on Nelson's website, nelsondellis.com. And again, the book Everyday Genius: Hacks to Boost Your Memory, Focus, Problem Solving, and more. Nelson, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations with the book.
Thank you so much, Jim.